Go Squid TV. So I told anybody that ran into me today that I was gonna do this. Since you guys don't think I know basketball, or some of y'all don't think I know basketball, as if like I never played it or I don't know the X's and O's. I really don't give two shits what y'all think. But to be completely honest, I definitely know what I'm talking about when it comes to this. Bradley Stevens. He's been a continuous punching bag on my channel ever since I probably started the channel. You know, I just made a video apologizing to Kyrie Irving, whether it matters or not, it's not even relevant, but it's just I felt like I need to kind of just basically just, apologize and respect that man for the prophet he was when he exposed Bradley Stevens of not being a very adjustable, workable coach when it comes to his system. Now, before I even get into what I'm about to do, I want you guys who are NFL fans to understand what I'm saying because it's a basketball subject, but I want you guys to kind of get what I'm saying. The Bears play cover two. They played cover two for so many years. The Buccaneers played cover two at some point. Not now, but they did at some point. The Pittsburgh Steelers historically have played cover two. And the thing with that defense is that, and the reason why I'm equating this to this conversation is that these teams don't want to ever change their identity. This is their defense. This is what we got. You're going to have to beat us with it. No adjustments, nothing. Those teams have not won a Super Bowl since any of those teams I mentioned have not won a Super Bowl. Tampa did, but they did not use the cover two scheme. But outside of that, they have not won a Super Bowl since 2008. And you can make the argument in 08, as great as their defense was that year, that their offense won them that Super Bowl. Santonio Holmes. Now, back to basketball. The reason why I equate this to Brad Stevens is that Brad Stevens pretty much runs a system where he spreads everybody out at the wings, and it's a pass the ball system. You got to cut. You got to cut to your spaces. It's either layup or three-point shot. And it's pass the ball to the open man. Now, in 2017, when the Boston Celtics went to the conference finals with Al Horford, Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Avery Bradley, and those boys, the reason why that was so effective was simple. Although they did not win, they got beat down in the conference finals, but they did not. They got to the conference finals. The only reason it worked is because Isaiah Thomas is a north-south point guard who could run off curl screens, much how Ray Allen would do. Run off curl screens and picks, and he had the ability to pass the ball around, even though he was the main scorer. Those other guys weren't really threats to score. Horford's not a leading scorer of a team. Never career average like 15 points a game. He's never really been a scorer. Avery Bradley that year only averaged like 11, 12 that year maybe. Jay Crowder averaged 14 that year, but Jay Crowder's not a star. We were doomed when we went against more talent. So that system worked as far as it could work. You understand what I'm saying? You run the curl screens for Isaiah Thomas. You surround everybody around the wings. You have your big man shooting a three. You have the wing shooting threes. And there's not so much of an emphasis on rebounding or offensive rebounding. As I mentioned last night in the video, the reason why I have such a disdain for this three-point shooting BS is that if you don't have accurate shooters, if you're going to have guys doing that and you're just going to have everyone shooting threes, when they break, it's going to lead to a break on the other end, as Phil Jackson has articulated in the past. Now, the game has changed, but still it's going to lead to a break. There's no defense is good enough to come back and be able to defend on the other end that much so many times. The reason why we tend to blow leads a lot. And you notice the Celtics don't never win by large amounts of margin, even against bad teams. So fast forward, we had Kyrie Irving for 2 years. And Kyrie Irving being in a Boston Celtics uniform started great. But he ended up getting hurt in 2018 season, which led to Terry Rozier taking over. Now, the reason why Terry worked so much well and so much better with that system than Kyrie is the same reason IT were. Terry's a north-south guard. All right, he's a north-south guy. He's not going to beat you with crossing you over, even though he crossed Eric Bledsoe out of his shoes. But that's not typically his game. He's not going to beat you with the dribbling, right? He's going to pass the ball. He's going to move around. He's going to run around picks. He's going to exhaust the opponent when it comes to defending. And he's going to be able to defend on a level to where they're not going to be able to defend everybody. You got JT, you got JB, and you got Terry, and you got Horford. So Horford's the stretch five, so it worked right for the system. JT was the 3, JB was the 2, Terry was the 1. There was no Hayward either, remember. And it worked perfectly for what they were doing at the time. But remember, JT and JB, although they were blossoming their rookie year, they weren't not necessarily the guys they are now. Fast forward, 2019 season, Kyrie comes back. Kyrie has no desire running that system because it doesn't cater to his game. He needs to be able to dribble. He needs to be able to break opponents down. Most star players need ISO in order to be great. There's a reason why they have talents. I say quote unquote talents. There's a reason for that. JB and JT needed that as well. And instead, Brad refused to deviate from the system, which is what Kyrie said early in the year when he gets asked in the ESPN interview, does Brad Stevens deviate the system for star players? And he was like, no, there's no compromise in the system. So basically, they're running a Princeton offense, basically, essentially, which is you surrounded with shooters, you spread the ball, and the system's based on passing, pass to the open man. Well, that doesn't help Kyrie's skill level because Kyrie's such a very skillful guy. Kyrie doesn't have to average 30 points a game to be effective. He could average 22, 23. And Kyrie didn't have a problem with that. The problem he had was the fact that the way your offenses ran and the way it's ran is made for players that are more north-south, to where Kyrie's the east-west type of point guard. He's more of an east-west guy. He's going to herky-jerky. He's going to get you out your shoes. He's going to go to the rim. And he's going to be able to shoot. And he could post. He could do. There's so many things that Kyrie Irving could do. Kyrie Irving wasn't the holdback. He wasn't the holdback for the Celtics like everybody ducks. The media was perpetuating a whole bunch of bullshit about Kyrie Irving. And even I admit, I agree. I thought it was true because I see some of those games and his body language wasn't all that right. And then you start looking at how Brad Stevens is coaching. And it's just a very simplified system. You ever watch the Boston Celtics play? It's the same system offensively. It's really grounded in mud. Now you got Tatum, who's trying to fucking develop and become the second guy at the time when Kyrie was there. And he's shooting one-leg fadeaways from 14 feet. And Brad's frowning on that. Brad doesn't even want him in the post. So Brad basically tells him, you need to set it at three-point line. That's not JT's game. Same thing with JB. You need to be a catch-and-shoot guy. Catch and shoot, sit on the corners. But JB's developing, despite having back problems early in the year, which put his scoring down, and he was coming off the bench a lot of that year. That second half of the season, he lit the scoring up. He averaged like 20 points a game off the bench until he got a starting position back. So essentially, he was being told sit on the corners We're not going to run plays. We're not going to run pulls for you. So you got three guys who potentially could be a super dynamo threesome being told to play within the system. Kyrie gets pissed. He's like, this shit's stupid. We're not going to win this way. These teams are too advanced. The coaching is too advanced in this league. They will find your weakness and they will kill your weakness. And it'll make you have to beat teams. And you know, the funny thing is that year, once our system stuck and we just kept trying to just shoot threes in that Milwaukee series, we had nothing. Couldn't do anything. We're stuck in mud. Kyrie had his worst playoff series, which is obviously why everybody killed Kyrie, including myself. And some of those post-King comments were just really just out of frustration. But he was really kind of trying to tell y'all, yo, this coach don't know shit. And when that last game against Milwaukee, when we got eliminated, you notice he didn't dap Brad Stevens up. Fast forward, he leaves, goes to Brooklyn. All right? Everybody's sitting over here saying Kyrie's a head case. It's a hard teammate to play with. All the media people. We get Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker coming off his best season with Charlotte. They didn't re-sign him because they weren't going anywhere at that point in time. So they did a sign and trade. They traded Rozier for Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker starts the season on fire. And then, he hurt his knee. Wasn't quite right after hurt his knee. Half the season he was pretty much canceled. So we didn't really have a full season. Goes to the playoffs, plays well for the first round, second round, and some of the second round, and then you start seeing the knee kind of get struggles. But the funny part I'm about to bring up, Kemba Walker is not a north-south point guard. He's an east-west point guard. He needs to be able to dribble in order to be efficient. He averaged 6.9 assists this last season in Charlotte. It's not like he can't pass. Kemba Walker's effective in pick and roll. We play pick and roll every now and then, but it's not Brad's forte. You could tell Brad didn't like it when Kyrie did pick and roll with Horford. He hated it when Kyrie did it with Horford. They would do it all the time, and he hated it. All right? So Kemba is basically being told, run off curls, just like IT did, run off curl screens and shoot the three. He's not getting into the rim nearly as much as he used to. And he's basically, obviously he's the third best player in the team now, but he's not getting to the rim nearly enough. For his talents, he still should be averaging 22, 23 on this team, and he's not getting to the rim. Everybody's killing Kyrie. I killed Kyrie's now killing Kemba. And saying Kemba's washed up. He's washed. He sucks. He didn't play. You know the common denominator? The stupid pass to the open man system. It's the same system that has been in place all these years. Jason Tatum's being basically reduced to being a three-point shooter or a step-back shooter. He's not getting to the line nearly enough. Statistically, you can look it up. Jaylen Brown is getting to the line. And he's having his best season. But lately, he's been reduced to sitting on corners. Now, you can sit there and say that's Kemba's fault. But no, it's not. Because Kemba is only doing what the offense is being asked of him to do. So Kemba's trying to split. He's trying to split through curling screens and trying to shoot. And Kemba's never been known to be the most accurate three-point shooter. He's a great mid-range shooter. Brad does not want him getting in the mid-range. Kemba Walker would have a field day if he's doing those step backs, his normal step backs. He's not able to do that. He's being told to run off curl screens and pass the ball. And you're surrounding them with shooters. I'm telling you basically X and O's, it's always going to be pass to the open man, 3-point shot or layup. There's going to be no free throw shooting. Three the hard way is not going to happen very often. We always finish on the bottom of the category offensively when it comes to that. Even when Kyrie was there, we were 30th that year. Kyrie's a guy that gets to the line easily. There's no ice. There's little to no ISO. They'll sit there and say they run too much ISO for Tatum. That's bullshit. I rarely see Tatum run ISO. And if he is, he's running ISO all the way from 40 feet because there's no space. So Tatum is damn near ineffective in that situation. He's either going to take a step back three because Brad don't want him taking fadeaways. He barely run Tatum to the post. He actually did that right yesterday. He ran to the post for the mismatch. Doesn't run post plays for Tatum or Brown nearly enough. And he's basically making Kemba Walker into a glorified, Terry Rozier in his rookie year type of guy. And I like Terry. But if you notice, all these guys that left Boston, Horford's having a really good year in OKC. He's looking like the Horford of old. Terry Rozier's having a career year. Gordon Hayward's having a career year. Ralph Nader's having a decent year. All right, I could keep naming it. Marcus Morris is a starter whenever Paul George and or Leonard don't play. He's playing damn well. All right. When is it going to get to the point when we realize that Brad Stevens is the problem? No one's debating his defensive practice when it comes to a coach. I love Brad when it comes to defense. He is offensively challenged. If you don't believe me, watch his teams in Butler. They only average 50 points a game. Kobe outscores them in just regular games. He was averaging 50 points a game in the tournament. If Brad's such a genius, how come none of these guys, how come he can't get 3 superstars or 2 stars and an all-star to be playing up to par consistently? And why are we losing to bad teams? This year is exposing him more than he's ever been exposed, and yet it baffles me how people think that Brad Stevens is a genius. He's not. He's not a genius. If you don't believe me, watch the games. Slow them down. Watch the reels. Do the X's and O's. It's the same offense every year. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have outgrown that offense. Kemba Walker simply doesn't fit that offense. All right. Marcus Smart's the only one that kind of does because he's a catch and shoot guy. All right. Tice is being set there to shoot threes. You know, that's not his forte typically. Thompson's useless because he can't shoot. Naismith doesn't shoot well yet because he's not in NBA shape yet to be able to shoot yet. Langford not played a damn game. Pritchard's the only one. Pritchard just basically runs his own offense when he's out there. It seems like he knows what he's doing out there. Otherwise, Robert Williams is sitting on the bench. He's not allowed to shoot Jays. When he shoots a Jay, he makes it. I don't see why he can't be in the game. They put Grant Williams in there, and they make Grant Williams into a three-point shooter when he's not. I could keep naming things that Brad Stevens does wrong. I don't know anything about basketball, y'all. You go ahead and keep saying that. This organization is heading towards where the Chicago Bulls ended in 1999. And I know we haven't won a title, unlike those teams that won 6 titles. But if you remember, Jerry Krause famously said, general managers and management win championships, not players. Which pissed Michael and Scotty off. I'm feeling like Danny Ainge is on that same blueprint. And Wyc Grousbeck and Brad Stevens, they're on that same blueprint. We go and sign players that don't even fit our schemes. If you're going to run the scheme, get players that fit the scheme. Leave your comments down below. You tell me I'm wrong, show me why I'm wrong. Because I watch these games every single time. It's the same offense. The same thing. Run Kemba off the curl. Either he's going to shoot a 3, or he's going to try to get a layup with double team. 2 or 3 guys are going to go and triple team and block the shot. There's no movement. There's no change to the offense. There's no adjustments. There's nothing that's done different in game. We will never win a title with Brad Stevens as our coach. You book it. Laugh at me all you want. Gold Squad TV.